Infrastructure. Today is July 22nd, 2020. And the meeting starts at 7 o'clock. COVID-19 and the emergency order to meet electronically. There is no physical location unless on temporary emergency order.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh,
Mr. Chairman? I think we're losing you.
yeah. I was
think
just
he's
going to say
gone.
that. I think we have, yeah. All right, I haven't turned on the waiting room yet, so I won't.
Can you help him?
Well, he'll just have to come back in. I can't really pull him back in. But I just won't have the waiting room there, so he can just come straight back in.
I just called and left a message that we've lost him.
Chairman O'Brien, can you hear me?
Now I can. I'm back from the dead. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize to everybody with today's technology, probably my own. So much for the state of the art router. I don't know what happened, but we lost you.
I think your last words were, "We should be good, and this will be a great meeting."
Yeah.
Yeah, mhm.
I don't know. To do it over, please bear with me. I'm gonna have to start the legal mumbo jumbo again. But anyways, as chairman of the Committee of Infrastructure, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I'm confirming that we are providing a public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. To access Zoom, please refer to the agenda at the city's website for the meeting link. To join by phone, dial 1-929-205-6099, meeting ID number 824-0147-6367, with a password of 221185. The public may also view the meeting via Channel 16. Providing public notice of necessary information for accessing the meeting. We have previously gave notice to the public of necessary information for accessing the meeting through public postings. Instructions have also been provided on the City of Nashua's website at www.nationalnewhampshire.gov and publicly noticed at City Hall and other public health department. C, providing the mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there is problems with access. If anybody has a problem accessing the meeting via phone or channel 16, please call 603-821-2049 and they will help you to connect. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via methods mentioned above, the meeting shall be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states they're present, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. I'm going to call on the clerk, Alderman Schmidt, to please call the roll. And could you ask them to state the reason he or she could not attend, confirm that they can hear the proceedings, and stated who was present with him or her.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman at Large Michael O'Brien Sr.
I am present, I can hear the proceedings, and I am alone.
Alderman Thomas Lopez.
I'm present, I can hear the proceedings, and I am alone.
Alderman Jan Schmidt is here, can hear everyone, and is alone. Alderman Ernest Jettie.
I'm here. I'm here and I'm alone. I can hear everything. And I'm obeying the stay-at-home order.
And Alderman David Tenza. Mr. Chairman, that would be 4 members who are here. Also, we have Alderman Klee and Don Hudson, City Engineer.
Very good, thank you. And for the record, I did hear from Alderman Tenza, who has another very important business to attend to this evening and cannot make the meeting and expresses his regrets. Move on to public comment. Is there anybody out there in TV land that would like to comment? I don't know if anybody's queued up and in the green room. Seeing none, communications,
We have none.
unfinished business,
Also none.
new business resolutions,
There are none.
and new business ordinances.
We have ordinance 20-024,
Oh,
removing the,
excuse me to the clerk, if I may. I forgot for a second, but I'm gonna take out of order if we may. Could you please call by title 2027, please.
absolutely, authorizing a left turn only lane at the intersection of West Pearl Street and Elm Street. Mr. Chair, I move to recommend final passage.
Okay, I did get a request from Alderman Lopez, who is the prime sponsor, and in case he gets tied up, he asked that we take this out of order, so I thank everybody. Alderman Lopez, would you like to comment on your motion?
Yep,
On the
I
order.
can probably let the city engineer explain a little bit further, but basically I'm just supporting the Department of Public Works' efforts to try to improve traffic safety in the area. The ordinance would allow for a bicycle lane to be included on West Pearl and a turning lane onto Elm Street only. I don't know, the city engineer, do you have the graphic? Because I can share it if you don't.
Yes, I do. Let me, you want me to try to share my screen?
Yeah, I think mine was just like an initial draft, so yours might be a better idea.
Okay. Let me see if this works here. Let me know if you can see it.
Yep. There it is.
Okay, so thank you. The proposal here is to do some revised pavement markings on West Pearl Street. We have repaved that street, and so it's time to put markings down. And then looking at it, we thought it would make more sense to have a short left turn lane to Elm Street. On West Pearl, you come across Main Street from East Pearl in 2 lanes through the signal. But then as you follow down West Pearl, when you get down to Walnut, it's only 1 lane. The width is wide west of Elm Street. So at some point you have to drop a lane, and it made sense to us to do that at Elm Street. So after you come through Main Street, there will be a short section of double lane, and then it would merge into a single lane, and then it would carry it as a single lane down to Walnut Street. So that's, as you indicated, that would give us room to put a bike lane in, and also, restripe the parking. So, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about that.
I do actually have one. Just I had submitted this, Mr. Chair, to some of the local businesses nearby, and they just wanted to make sure that the traffic engineers had confirmed that coming from the left turn only lane, there's enough clearance for someone to make that turn onto Elm Street. I had confidence. I just want to ask the question on their behalf.
Would the city engineer want to tackle that?
Sure. Yeah, I was trying to make sure I wasn't muted. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there will be room. As you can see on the graphic, the lane line is close to where the lane line is today. If it was a larger truck and you had to make it from the through lane, you could still do that. There's no physical barrier. But for the majority of vehicles, your passenger cars, even your small trucks, they'll be able to do that without any issue. So we believe this provides clarity and doesn't really change the situation in terms of movements. And the same width is provided. It's just restriped in a different format for the majority of traffic.
Further questions from members of the committee? I do have one. Mr. Hudson, could you say that the mirror that is in front of the restaurant there will still be there? And can you explain for the public that probably don't know that the mirror is there, how that assists them at this particular intersection? Are you able to speak on that?
I'm unfortunately not very able to speak to that very intelligently. I wasn't aware there's a mirror there. We have a couple of those around the city. It's for sight distance reasons. I know we're trying to avoid putting new ones up in other places, but the ones that are there, we're trying to maintain. So my understanding is that it will remain.
Very good. And if I may take the liberty at this point, there is a mirror there for those that have seen it. If you haven't, it does assist you because of where that building at the corner of West Pearl and Elm, immediately on the right where the cursor was just at. It is kind of tough to see, and the mirror does assist and allows you to poke your nose out a little bit to take the corner safely. But thank you, Mr. Hudson. Alderman Schmidt, do you have something?
Well, I just wanted to thank you very much for talking about the mirror. I use it every time I take that road. And it's time that the striping was changed on that. It's clear that the people who are new on that street don't quite understand. So this will make a big difference for people. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Schmidt. Any other additional questions from members of the board?
If I could
Alderman
just comment.
Clee. Yes, I'll have you in the clue, Alderman Lopez, Alderman Clee first. Alderman Clee, you're muted.
Thank you so much. I know I'm not a member of your board, but I did want to be a sponsor on this, and I appreciate that this is being done. It is something that's very important, I think, to kind of even slow the traffic down a little bit. I know coming out of Elm Street, which I've done quite often, you really do take your life in your hands, but as well as coming off of Pearl onto Elm, because I think the people on Elm don't realize that those people have to cut in front of you to take a left, and we don't always see each other. And as pointed out by the mirror, I like the mirror. I know the reason they're not putting more up is simply because it doesn't give how close or how far people are. And I know that the director is a little anxious about those kind of mirrors. So, but I do appreciate it being there. It does help me to see that there's something there. So, thank you.
Objects in the mirror are farther or closer than you think, or whatever it is. Yes. Alderman Lopez.
Just with regard to the mirror, it can also be a little disorienting to some drivers. If you happen to go at the wrong time of day, then you get the Indiana Jones effect where the sun is beaming in your eye from the wrong direction. So that can confuse people a little bit. The way that the striping looks like it would be designed as well, it cuts the traffic on the road in half so that people who are going straight can just continue straight. Excuse me. And for those of you who would be coming down West Pearl to turn onto Elm Street, which is not a very large number of people relative to the whole traffic on the road, in my experience, are the only ones that would have to worry about the incoming lane and how that would all be interacted quite as much. So it basically takes two people going in different directions and puts them in a lane they're supposed to go in. But the way that the lane is designed, if it turns out that it's not a great idea in terms of being able to see around the building and clearance, it wouldn't be that difficult to change that into the straightforward lane that's there, and then just turn that into parking or something so that there's enough clearance to see around Greater Nashua, as that's the building on the lower right, see around their building as you're turning. So this isn't, I mean, this is a pretty permanent change in terms of painting on the road, but it's not an irreversible one if we decide that, you know, the new changes are not working out, or there's some unforeseen difficulty.
Okay. Alderman Jettie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The you know, I'm in favor of this, but I'm a little concerned about the striping, you know, kind of, you know, forcing the people in the left lane who are coming from Main Street or East Pearl Street. You know, the striping pushes them over to the right, hopefully. I'm somewhat familiar with that design, you know, over here on in Ward 5 on West Hollis Street, going west as you approach Ledgewood Hills Drive, or Gendron Street before that. There's a, you know, there are two lanes coming from Riverside Drive, or from the highway, and there's a, I can't remember the technical name for it, but kind of a bump out, you know, a striped bump out that encourages people to move into the right lane and reserves the left lane, left turning traffic to Gendron and Ledgewood Hills Drive in that left lane. You know, that has caused a lot of problems. People coming, you know, from the highway, you know, traveling in the left lane, which is, you know, usually the faster lane. You know, they end up, you know, getting confused by that bump out, and all of a sudden they have to move over to the right, and you know, it's caused some accidents and some near accidents there. So in this configuration that you've shown us, you know, I'm wondering if the striping where it is the best place. You know, should that left turn lane be left turn all the way from Main Street, or should the striping that encourages people to the right, if they're going to go straight, should that be sooner than where it is proposed on your illustration? You know, I'm just concerned that people who are going straight won't realize that they've got to get into the right lane until the last minute, and now they're, you know, they're turning into in front of somebody in the right lane. I'm not sure that what you've got isn't the best way to solve this situation, but I'm just bringing it up to make sure you've thought about it, and that what we're doing is the best way. I'm all in favor of the left turn onto Elm Street, left turn only onto Elm Street lane, and putting the bike lane in. I just bring this up so that you know, think about the whole thing ahead of time. Thank you.
Mr. Hudson, would you like to?
Yeah, sure, I can address that. Yeah, it's certainly not an ideal situation, you know, doing a merge, you know, that quickly, but it's due to the distance between the intersections. We think that's what we need to do and still maintain the 2 through lanes from East Pearl. If we find it doesn't work out well, then that is an option, is to go back to East Pearl and make one of those a left turn only lane and the other one a through lane. You know, that has a trade-off in that now you only have one lane to stack the through vehicles, so it would back up further. So I think I think we're fairly comfortable with this. There's a couple of 100 feet, 250 feet or so before the merge would start. There will be an adjustment period. People have to get used to it. But I think it's a reasonable approach right now. And if it turns out it doesn't work well, then there are adjustments we can make, as suggested.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Jettie. Any other comment or questions by members of the committee? Okay, seeing none, there seems to be a desire by some to become additional sponsors to 020-027. So to our wonderful people in the office that are going to transcribe this meeting, I think Alderman Clee would like to sign on as an additional sponsor. Alderman Schmidt, did you want to sign on as an additional sponsor?
Sure, I'll make sure I'll put it in the notes as well, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Great clerk I got. Thank you so much. Alderman Jettie, do you choose to pass? You could wait. You can also wait to the general meeting if you so desire.
Yeah, I'll pass at this point. Thank you.
Very good. And to the transcriber, could you please include me as an additional sponsor as well? Okay, thank you. That being done, I will call the vote. Seeing no further questions, can the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman O'Brien,
Yes.
Alderman Lopez,
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt votes yes. Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
that would be 4-0, sir.
Thank you, and motion passes. Okay, and to the clerk, we're going to go right back in the regular order. So if you don't mind, please, thank you.
Sure, that would be ordinance 20-024, removing the authorization for right turn only lane on Pine Hill Road at its intersection with Sharon Ave. Mr. Chair, I'd like to recommend final passage.
Okay, and the recommendation is for final passage from Alderman Schmidt. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I would, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This intersection has been undergoing all sorts of changes since the change in the road was widened on Sharon Ave. There was some attempt to put in a turn lane and a stop on all sides. It didn't work out very well. The new engineer has made a plan. It's been proposed, it's been seen by public. And one of the steps that we have to take is to remove the right turn only lane. That should avoid a bunch of confusion for people who don't know that they have to stop even if they're in a straight through lane. So I would really like to see this pass so we can get our always stop put in and without any more confusion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. And are there any further comments? We do have the city engineer that said he would be available for any questions from any members of the committee. Okay, and see that the city engineer is here. I'll give you the opportunity if you want to.
Yeah,
put in addition to this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would. As Alderman Schmidt said, we did try to do something a little different and it didn't work out so well. So what we're proposing here is an all-way stop. And we just want the single lane approaches on the Pine Hill approach because we found that multiple lanes in a stop condition was a little confusing. There will still remain the separate left and right turn lanes on Sharon Ave. We've run simulations and we think the intersection will operate fairly well. If any members of the public or anybody wants to go watch that simulation, they can go to the engineering website and choose traffic engineering. And we've posted the presentation that we made at the May 28th Board of Public Works meeting. So if people are interested, they certainly can do that. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Okay. Any further questions from any members of the committee? Seeing none, I see this sponsor, Alderman Schmidt. Does anybody else join with her in sponsoring this? Yeah. on as an additional sponsor if I can. My speaker is not working. One minute. Can you hear me now? You can hear me now.
It might be an idea for people that turn off their cameras when they're not being used, just to reduce the bandwidth.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm not having a good technology night tonight, evidently. Okay. I've been relegated to the basement. I didn't think this place was a bunker. So, okay. All right. Seeing no additional sponsors and any other further questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Alderman O'Brien,
Yes.
Alderman Lopez,
Yes?
Alderman Schmidt votes yes, Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
That's 4 members vote yes. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Will the clerk please call the next item on the agenda?
That would be ordinance 20-026, removing handicap parking spaces in front of 3 Beacon Court, and 9 and 11 Mount Pleasant Street. Mr. Chair, I recommend final passage.
Very good. Alderman Schmidt, excuse me, Alderman Clee, would you like, this is your motion, would you, your ordinance, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. I've been contacted by a number of residents that live in that area, that these spaces are no longer being used. And after looking into an investigation and looking at the original ordinances, the people that were using them at the time have since moved, which again is one of those questions that I've brought up in the past of how do we control this kind of thing. But in the meantime, we'd like to have these 3 parking spaces made available to all, and to have the handicap removed. They're no longer necessary, no longer needed. I think it's time, and with the limited parking spaces, especially in these neighborhoods, it is important. It does not give them overnight parking or anything to that nature. It just removes the handicap space. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment of any members of the committee? Seeing none, I would, as chairman of infrastructure, I would like to thank Alderman Clee for this ordinance. I think we, as a city, really do try to help out when it is people need for any particular reason, such as the handicap spaces. But at times they do have their own type of terms of use, and one thing with signs, they stay there forever unless somebody updates. So I strongly encourage any of the citizens to keep something that is no longer relevant. We can't take care of that, and so I recommend that they contact their ward alderman and we can get it on the agenda. Oh, am I getting out there?
You
Definitely
are
coming out as a remix.
Yeah, I think we caught part of the end when you said that if those who have the same situation should contact their ward alderman, and I strongly recommend that also. So thank you for bringing it up, sir.
Yeah, and that's it. All right, can the clerk please call the vote?
With her microphone off, please.
Alderman O'Brien,
Yes.
Alderman Lopez,
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt votes yes, Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
That would be 4 yeas. Motion carries.
Okay. All right, motion passes. Next on the agenda, we do have 2 bills that are tabled in committee. Some of them are pending to the traffic study. I was hoping to be joined this evening by Mr. Cummings, but evidently he cannot make it. And it was just going to be a brief update on the parking study. So I'll go to the next item on the agenda, general discussion? Anybody have any general discussion, members of the committee? Very good. Seeing none. Final call for public comment. Seeing none. Remarks by the alderman. Alderman Lopez.
I just would like to thank Padma for giving me another couple hundred masks. I've been giving them to some of the businesses in my ward that have staff that need to be using them in order to serve the public safely. And I just want to remind the public to continue using those and be careful. We've been pretty fortunate in New Hampshire, particularly, that we never really had a widespread outbreak and we didn't experience community-based transmission, but we're starting to see numbers picking up. Looking at the public health numbers that are coming in every day, and we're seeing Nashua's always had a larger population than typical of younger people that are experiencing COVID-19. They just aren't necessarily transmitting it in a widespread format, but we are starting to see more community-based transmission. And while we're really good at the contact tracing right now, national events could start making it difficult to get testing returned in a reasonable way. And you can't really do contact testing if you've already had to wait 5 or 6 days for your test results to return. I mean, you can do it, but at that point, the cat's out of the bag. So I would just urge everybody to remain cautious and vigilant so that we can continue to enjoy the relative safety that we've had here in Nashua.
Very good. Anybody else? Okay. There is no need to go into non-public session. So before anything else logically goes wrong here, do I have a motion? Alderman Schmidt, do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn by roll call, sir.
Motion to adjourn is in order. Could the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien,
Yes.
Alderman Lopez,
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt votes yes, Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
That's 4 yeas, motion carries.
Okay, I'm going to declare the meeting adjourned. I apologize to you all and to the public for any technological problems. I'll figure this out. And I'm going to declare the meeting closed at 7:34. Thank you.